Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome back into another One Piece spoiler video. This time, we're here to yap about chapter 1175. And real quick, but just in case you have not checked out the full spoilers for yourself, make sure to do so in the pinned comment. I'll be sourcing it out to where I found these spoilers in the first place, as well as typing it out piece by piece so that you can check it out there in case that is all you're really here for. So, getting right into it, we got Sabo in a cover request. Usually I don't talk about these, and I don't know why I'm even bringing it up, but we got Sabo, man. Sabo and Koala. Koalas, the animal. Not the girl, the animal. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think these cover page requests are pretty cute, but at the same time, I am still waiting with bated breath for the day when we get another canon cover page series. But until then, I do enjoy X character with X animal week after week. So, on to the chapter now. First thing we get is, of course, Sanji. And we see that he does release Robin from her thorny, viney prison by using Diable Jambe. He kicks the vines, and they're all destroyed in the process. Then after that, we cut over to Luffy and Loki. And Redon does point out that in this chapter, Luffy is still wearing his original clothing that we saw last chapter. That was a big thing, right? A lot of people really enjoyed the Elbaph fit and how it merged with Gear 5th. And then last chapter, you know, a lot of us were wondering, is it a mistake that Luffy is in his Wano Gear 5th outfit? You know, even on Egghead, Luffy didn't have the shirt on. He took the shirt off, so it was at least a little bit different. But here, it looks like he is back in his original clothing. So what is up with that? Did he get a costume change while he was down there with Loki? Is that what took them so long? Luffy said, hey, Loki, before we go up to the Sun Realm, let me go get my original shirt, man. I need it. Trust me, trust me. So, Luffy and Loki drop the kids off near where Elder Yarl is at. Sommers is furious because his plan has gone awry. The kids have survived with their parents. So, Sommers sends a bunch of vines and thorns to attack him. The kids jump in front of Saint Sommers' attack in order to protect their loved ones. And that is when Zoro comes in and saves the day. And he cuts down Saint Sommers' thorns and vines. Luffy says, good job, Zoro. I knew I could trust you. Zoro says, I figured that's what you had in mind. Now do it, Luffy. Sommers says, what the hell? Who is that guy? Luffy ends up boasting about Zoro, saying, hey, this guy, that swordsman, he's from my crew, and his name is Zoro, don't you forget it. And I just thought it was really funny because how often does Luffy actually introduce his Nakama to the villain of the arc, right? It's kind of like he's trying to sell Zoro, like, hey, this guy, this is the new Rayleigh. Remember that guy from God Valley who beat you? Yeah, this is the new him. So, Luffy grabs a lightning bolt with his left hand from a thundercloud, and then he uses his right hand as a telescopic sight to keep his eyes pinned on Saint Sommers. And that is when Luffy attacks Saint Sommers with a brand new attack. Gomu Gomu no Dawn Thor Rifle. The Japanese kanji means white thunder rotating bullet. And then we see that Luffy punches Sommers' body, electrocutes him. And this attack is so powerful that Sommers' body breaks into pieces. He loses teeth and his face splits into several parts. Is this overkill? Yes. Sommers. The thing is, it's so funny. This is overkill, but we know that Saint Sommers is probably going to get back up. But man, is he probably feeling this one, dude. And the thing is that this isn't where the suffering ends. After that, we see that Loki ends up stomping on him as well. Brother, we didn't need this. Is that a Conqueror's hockey stomp that Loki's doing? Like, is Saint Sommers feeling every ounce of this damage? Because at that point, man, maybe we just got to give it to Saint Sommers. He's a tank, dude. Yeah, he's a regen merchant, but man, he's tanking it, man. He's tanking it. So that is when we get the flashback with Yarl, and he remembers what happened when Loki left Ara's castle. Yarl, at that time, explains to Shanks and Gaban what devil fruit Loki actually has. Yarl says that Loki ate the dragon fruit mythical model Nidhogg. Whoever eats it will obtain the form of the world's largest dragon, but the size of this dragon is dependent to how large your own body actually is. Obviously, a human gets upscaled, but a giant would be greater than that of a human. And then, of course, an ancient giant would be even greater than that of an actual giant. So, having this fruit go to Loki is just perfect. And Jarl, he does it. He says that this dragon is a thunder-breathing, pitch-black dragon that is said to be able to turn day into night whenever it takes flight. And brother, that's all I needed. You know, when it comes to One Piece colorings, I'm always really scared. Because while it looks a certain way in the manga, when we get there in the anime or the volume cover or just a color spread, things can vary drastically. So I was afraid. I was like, okay, Loki looks black, but is he really? You know, maybe he's rainbow colored for all we know. But here we have it. Apparently, according to the spoilers, Loki is indeed pitch black. And I'm down for it, man. And one thing I am really down for is to see Loki from multiple angles. Since Loki is going around stomping and fighting in this chapter, it's like, okay, now we'll get like a more, you know, comprehensive breakdown of Loki's design, hopefully, in 1175. Maybe this is a nitpick. Of course, we don't have the chapter in front of us, but Jarl describing what Loki's devil fruit is so funny to me, because going back to like chapter 1171, when Jarl, Shanks, and Gaban were talking about the fruit, they were like, hey, Jarl, did you know about this fruit? Did you know how strong it actually was? And I pulled it up, but Jarl legitimately says, nope, I had no clue at all. And it's like, wait, what? In this chapter, he's like perfectly describing the fruit piece by piece. So what is it, Jarl? Did he just like forget and then like it came back to him a day later? Is it because of the sword in his head? I think that's my cope. The reason why he said he had no idea and now he has an idea is because of the sword. You know, it's doing some crazy things to him. So Shanks says, so you guys decided to forbid anyone from eating that fruit due to how dangerous that power is, right? And Jarl says, nope, that's not it. Actually, if anybody attempts to eat it, Ragnir will interfere. And Elbaph, there's a legend regarding a warring deity who is said to wield the weapon Ragnir. They say he turned into a gigantic dragon and went against the sun god in the past. And beside him was his trusted servant, Ratatoskr, the ice squirrel. When the warring deity died, Ratatoskr's spirit passed on to the hammer, and ever since it has been protecting the devil fruit until somebody worthy enough could inherit it. And this is pretty fun. Apparently, according to another leaker, we do see a silhouette or backshot design of Ratatoskr and the warring deity. And Ratatoskr-Ragnir actually had a somewhat different design. They had like markings on its body, it had like the pointed ears, and it sounds very different from the Ragnir we have today. So I do wonder if maybe the Ragnir we see currently is just its base form, and of course when the fighting amps up, maybe Ragnir-Ratatoskr will get stronger and cooler looking. I hope. As far as how the war god of Elbaph looked, he was apparently very muscular and had a white beard-mustache, and a horned helmet to top it off. And off rip, I'm just imagining a giant version of Whitebeard at this point. Also, we do see the sun god of the past, and as per usual, they do look very similar to Luffy. Also, according to the leakers, this looks like a real scene of these gods fighting, and it's not just another snippet from a book or someone's imagination. So, we go back to the present, and now we see that Loki is focused on the nightmare monsters, and he uses a brand new attack, and he blows them all away and defeats a majority of these monsters. The attack is called Thorheim, which the kanji does translate to Thunder World, and this attack creates a huge explosion with normal and black lightning. So rest in peace to Killingham's monsters, but again, just like Saint Sommers, we do know that these monsters are somewhat immortal. So if these monsters get back up next chapter, or if Killingham spawns more of them, we shouldn't be super surprised. You know, if we really want to get rid of the MMA dream monsters, the best thing to do is to just simply beat Killingham. And with how Luffy and Loki dealt with Sommers in this chapter, brother, if I was Killingham, I'd be running for the hills, man. You know, this is crazy stuff, man. Nobody, so far, has even landed a single blow or wounded Luffy or Loki. They showed up, and they're immediately just stomping the house down. End of the chapter now, we cut over to Emu, but not the Emu in Elbaph, of course. We instead get the Emu from Marie Geoise, and they look furious, according to the leakers. And in that last panel, they simply say, Nidhogg, I see. That is where thou hast been all this time. End of chapter, no break next week. So now, we have to ask the $1 million question. But come chapter 1176, will Emu actually fight Luffy and Loki? Of course, he has battle knowledge, right? He's fought these guys in the past. He knows exactly what they are. So maybe he has like certain advantages, right? He's coming into this fight knowing full well what the OG Nidhogg could do, what the OG Nika could do. So maybe Emu has a really good leg up on these guys. And of course, we haven't really seen Emu throw hands yet. So maybe they're just that dude, right? You know, maybe we're expecting, oh, more magical abilities, more Domi reversing. But maybe Emu's just going to start punching people. Or will Emu simply leave? You know, because that is on the board, right? Emu doesn't exactly have all of his soldiers here. Hell, Saint Sommers just got obliterated to hell and back. So maybe Emu looks at this and just says, hey, peace out. You know, I wasn't expecting Nidhogg to be here. I'm just going to pull out for now and we'll fight this guy later. Ah, it's tough. It's tough. You know, I'm going to throw up a poll later on just to see how everybody feels about this. Personally, I would just absolutely love it if Emu stayed and fought. Like, I get it. They're in a nerfed body, but imagine how good the stocks would look if Emu looked good while nerfed. I don't know, man. We'll see. We'll see. You know, it's definitely a toss-up here. Aside from that, I do want to see what's going to happen with Sanji now. You know, now that Sommers has been dealt with, what happens? You know, does Sanji simply just chill with Robin and the gang? Does he head over here to the battlefield and fight Saint Sommers after he's done regenerating? What about Zoro? You know, whatever came out of the Dory and Brogy situation? There's still a lot of questions and things we need to wrap up. But for all we know, we could wrap up very quickly now that Luffy and Loki have arrived. And, you know, when it comes to Usopp, I've been seeing a lot of people saying, hey, so this is still Usopp's arc, right? And I like to believe so. You know, I'm not even an Usopp fan, right? I'm not even like an Usopp denier, coper, whatever, but it's like, surely he's going to get something here. So that is, again, why I'm leaning towards Emu just staying, to get a nice moment for all the Straw Hats. And then Brook, right? What's up with the Brook situation? Emu is staring at Luffy and Loki in this chapter. Where's Brook? Is he still fighting Gunko-Emu? Like, is Brook like off panel somewhere and he's been defeated? We have no clue. And also, since Oda is seemingly going in with the Nidhogg and Ratatoskr lore, who's going to be the eagle for mythology? My candidate right now is that it's going to be Shanks and his sword Griffin, but I still like the hired-in route. Maybe even Biblo could be the representative since he is from the Void Century most likely. Maybe there's another character in the Heaven Realm that we haven't met yet who is the eagle. And last video, I noticed a lot of people mentioning that they want it to be Usopp, which seems like a wish on a star, but hey, maybe it could work. Yeah, overall, great chapter. I am looking forward to seeing Loki some more. I do want to see more of his dragon design. And hopefully, if the fighting gets crazy, if Emu does stay, we might just get Loki in his hybrid form. Which, hey, I'm here for it, man. So, let me know your thoughts on all these spoilers down below. Of course, in the next couple of days, we will be coming back and reading through the comment section. So if you want your comment read, make sure to drop your theories and opinions down below. Until next time, guys, you all take care and peace out, brothers.